evening, our dear viewers, and welcome to RTD's English News Edition. Coming up, at the Presidential Palace, the 90th Ministerial Councils under the chairmanship of the Head of State. In concerning the Kenyan Elections Commission to meet with candidates of an impasse. Those are top stories, and thanks for joining us in our newsroom. Under the chairmanship of the Head of State, Head of Government Ismail Omar Guelleh, this morning was the 19th session of the Council of Ministers, where 3 issues were on the agenda and all focused on people with special needs and the rights of elderly, in particular for their medical care and protection.
Under the chairmanship of the Head of State, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, has been held the 19th Ministers' Council today. 3 bills were on the agenda. The first question is related to a bill on the promotion and protections on the rights of persons with disabilities in order to ensure their protection and integration as full-fledged Djiboutian citizens, and according to the International Convention on the Rights of People with Special Needs, which sets standards for an equal treatment such as the rest of the population and their access to services, enabling them to accelerate their social integration. It is programmed in the present law to promote their social rights within the Djiboutian society. Up to date, nearly 2,659 people with disability are registered in the social register database. Through this legislation, it is a question of guaranteeing favorable life environment by recognizing their rights to mention not only in the rights to health but also education and training, employment and access to social services in order to minimize the state of dependence of these people with special needs in which they are experiencing. The second question concerned the promotion and protection of the elderly. The protections and promotions of the rights for all people is paramount because they are the backbone of the nation and constitute a reference for the younger generations. They transmit their knowledge to the younger generation in order to promote good manners. They strengthen the dialogue between the generation and solidarity within the family and above all the whole community. This draft law aims firstly at providing to vulnerable persons legal protections and the satisfaction of the specific needs to be induced by age, and among others the need related to health. Indeed, since the launch of the Social Assistance Program for All People on November the 26, 2016, nearly 600 people over the age of 65 have received medical aid coverage with the Pass ID card. On nearly 6,949 old people have been registered in the social register. Through this text, it is a manner of formalizing the political commitment in order to improve their living conditions. The third question is a bill for the establishment of a center for old and dependent people. As in the rest of the world, the Republic of Djibouti is increasingly confronted with a population of old people living in precarious life linked to the phenomenon of multidimensional poverty. These people must continue to live with their rights, their duty, so as the rest of citizens as free in their country. They also want to keep their place in the society in contact with other generation. The creation of this center is in line with the new strategy of the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, favoring the establishments of a social protection who cover different categories of the population, including all people. It is also part of the overall vision of our social policy advocated by the Head of State, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, who tirelessly strives to strengthen collective solidarity, which is the foundation of the nation. At the end of the meeting, the Minister of Social Affairs, the Minister of Justice has made to the Council on his participation his report to the 20 COMESA Ministers of Justice meeting that has been held in Zambia on September the 29, 2017. The Minister of Foreign Affairs reported to the Board on his participation to the 72nd session of the General Assembly of the United Nations. He also made a report on his participation to the European Union IGAD informal meeting in Brussels and his working visit to Paris from the 18th to the 30th of September.
The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, has received today, Tuesday, in the middle of the afternoon, at the Presidential Palace, the Director General of the International Organization for Migration, Mr. William Lassis-Wing, in working mission to Djibouti. The collaboration between the Republic of Djibouti and the IOM has been at the heart of the discussions between the President of the Republic and the UN diplomat. The crossing point for encountered refugee population from throughout the region in which wish to move to the Arabian Peninsula through Obok. Djibouti is an efficient partner of the international community in terms of regulation assistance to migrants, and note also the presence of these discussions of the Director General of the National Police, Colonel Abdullahi Abdi Farah. And at the end of his discussions with the head of state, the Director General of the IOM, Mr. William Lassis-Wing, granted us an interview. Here it is.
I've just had a very good meeting with the President of the Republic. I'm very honored to meet him and have a chance for an exchange. We discussed primarily the situation of the migrant movements through the Horn of Africa in an area that is surrounded by conflict, both the 3-year war now in Yemen as well as the other armed conflicts in West Africa and Horn of Africa. We talked about the motivations of migrants to move, the driving forces, the lack of employment for young people, the wars that are pushing people out, problems of climate change, etc. And we agreed that we would continue to do everything possible from the point of view of the International Organization for Migration to assist this government.
As well, this morning, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed has decorated the Director General of the International Organization for Migration, Ambassador William, at the Salon of Honor of the Office of the Prime Minister. The Director General of the IOM has been elevated to the rank of Knight of the Order of 27 June for the work that he carried out within its direction by the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed. The head of state, Ismail Omar Guelleh, sent a message of support to U.S. President Donald Trump following the Las Vegas killing. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, today sent a message of support and solidarity to his American counterpart, Mr. Donald Trump, following the killing of Las Vegas that killed nearly 60 people dead and several hundred of casualties. President Guelleh expressed his sadness and compassion to his American counterpart. The people and the government of Djibouti join me to show you their solidarity following this tragedy, wrote the head of state. I extend my deepest condolences to the families of the victims, and I express the hope of a speedy recovery to the wounded of this tragic event, said the head of state. In Las Vegas, a shooter targeted the crowd of a concert with at least 59 dead and 500 injured from the top of a skyscraper on a famous Las Vegas avenue. It was supposed to be a night of partying in the gambling capital. The party turned into terror when a 64-year-old man fired into the crowd from his 32nd floor to room Mandalay Bay, adjacent to the concert venue, where some 22,000 people gathered for the concert. Surprised, the 64-year-old white man, Stephen Gray Paddock, with a banal profile, so fright and death. Into the national news, Indian President Ramnath Kovind, accompanied by his wife Savita Kovind, was welcomed by the Djibouti International Airport on Tuesday by the Prime Minister, His Excellency Ismail Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, and his wife Saadia Abdi Ainashi. The President was accompanied by a strong delegation composed of parliamentarians and contractors. On the Djiboutian side, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mohammed Ali Yusuf, Mr. Nabil Mohammed Ahmed of Irrigation, Mrs. Momina Ahmed, Minister of Women and Family, Secretary General of the Prime Minister, Nagib Abdullah Kamil, the Indian Ambassador resident in Addis, and our ambassador in India took part in this memorable welcome. And the Indian President is on an official visit to our country, and this is the first time that an Indian President has set foot on the Djiboutian soil. This demonstrates India's interest in the country, and the Prime Minister warmly welcomed President Ramnath to Djibouti and welcomed the excellent quality of relations of cooperation and friendship between the Republic Republic of India and Djibouti reiterated the will to strengthen it and to perpetuate it, while emphasizing the joy of our country to receive him among his friends. The two men had a fruitful discussions at the VIP lounge at the airport. The Prime Minister did not fail to remind his host that the Indian community is well integrated into the country by occupying certain businesses since antiquity, but advocated for the strengthening of economic and social relations. And the Indian President is accompanied for its first visit to Djibouti by his wife, Mrs. Satifa Govent. She was received in the Salon of Honor of the airport by the wife of the Prime Minister, Mrs. Sadia Abdi Ainashe. The employees of the First Lady and the Minister of Women and the Family Coast attended the meeting. Then the two men, accompanied by the respective wives, laid a wreath of flower on the bronze statue of Mr. Gandhi at the runabout of the airport. Toward the end of the afternoon, the Prime Minister accompanied his distinguished guests to the Hotel Kambeski, where tomorrow the Indian President will meet the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh. Into the other news of this edition, in response to the intervention of the Minister of Djibouti of Interior, Mr. Hassan, the High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo, grew up in congratulating the Republic of Djibouti for its very generous policy and very visionary, and he also reaffirmed that Djibouti is very advanced in the new approach, and as well as already provides results of commitments of the President before the Assembly of the United Nations with the establishment of a law for refugees, which strengthens the legal arsenal to Djibouti and the access to national education of quality to the refugees. The Minister of Equipment and Transport, Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa, recalled that the bridge is temporarily barred because of the work in progress to rehabilitate it. The bridge is thus temporarily closed while flooding of the Umbuli Wadi is recorded, so the Minister of the Transport said he was deeply sorry for the inconvenience the people of Balbala are experiencing. The round used at the bottom of the workers is thus strongly demanded by motorists. The Minister of Transport wished to reassure the citizens that the work to rehabilitate the bridge in Italy will be completed in 2 months instead of 4 months previously fixed. In addition, another access route is planned, and it will link the commune of Balbala to the city center to Nagat. It is planned to construct a section of the road of the length of 1 kilometer with a crossing structure, and this road will make it easier for traffic on the road number 1 in the direction of Balbala. In the favor of the opening of the Parliament, a strong delegation of parliamentarians yesterday carried out a first visit of field both on the bridge of Italy and the shore of the Umbuli Wadi following the heavy precipitation of this weekend. The increase of the level of the Wadi of Umbuli has caused yesterday of serious problems of road traffic between the two parts of the city of Djibouti. In view of this finding, the elector went directly to inform on the state of progress of work of the rehabilitation of the bridge of Italy to once again urge national authorities to accelerate the ongoing operations. In sharing with the people the difficulties caused by this flood of the Wadi, the elected remain vigilant and attentive to any developments in the situation and will take a touch with all the administrations concerned. Continuing with the national news, the second day of a workshop for the validation of the draft of the code and of the financial mechanism of the territorial communities opened yesterday at the Palace of the People. by the Minister Delegate in charge of decentralization, Hamadou Mohamed Aramis, in the presence notably of his colleague, the Minister of Finance, Ilyas Moussoudwali, and the leader of the cooperation of the Office of the European Union, Joseph B.A., has been devoted to the continuation of the work around the three thematic areas that are the conditions for the exercise of the free administration of the territorial communities, the skills of the latter, the functioning of the legislative bodies of the territorial communities, the control of the legality and the monitoring of decentralization, and finally the financial system and advice of funding. These works have registered strong debates, is interesting, and have led to the results which have been the subject in the course of the second half of the day of refunds in plenary follow also discussions. As a result of this, the consultants will incorporate the comments and observations into two documents, namely the preliminary draft of the Code of Territorial Communities and one of who deals with the financial system. The third phase of the technical mission to support the decentralization process will be conducted from mid-November to mid-December. It will focus on the preparation and the organization of the national meetings on decentralization. The last group of pilgrims of Djibouti arrived early this morning at the international airport of Djibouti. This year, 7 groups of pilgrims to the Djiboutian total of more than 1,700 have performed the pilgrimage to Mecca, which constitutes the 5th pillar of the Muslim religion. Arrived at the airport, the pilgrims, Djiboutians, very responsible, were content to return to their country after performing the pilgrimage of 2017, which brought together millions of faithful to Mecca. In the margin of his participation in the Forum of Arab-Africa of Economic Groupings and International Cooperation, which takes place from 2 to 5 October in Urqadqad, Egypt, where we are witnessing a very strong participation of the Arab countries, African and Asian, Mohamed Duhur Hessi, Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti from Egypt, has signed on Monday a protocol of cooperation with the chairperson of the Union of Women and Arab Investors, Dr. Hoda Kalel and Yassah. This protocol will, in the sense that has taken our country to create an economic balance and to develop the infrastructure for a strong economy by the planning and achievement of mega projects, and this by attracting investors in Arab, European as well as Asian and Egyptian. By signing this agreement between the MPC and the Union, a partnership is put in place to attract investments to our country, create a common project and ensure the promotion of investment opportunities offered by our country to the Arab countries, African as well as foreigner, through partnership. Well, yesterday morning, a young boy named Mohammed, 11 years of age, underwent illegal circumcision in the home that caused a partial removal on the child. Scared, the mom, Croatia, arrived at the hospital Peltier with her son in breaking the severe part of the gland, which has enabled surgeons to proceed quickly to the relocation of the section and also to the establishment of a urinary catheter. The young boy is currently admitted in the service post-surgical of Roof Ubesh and followed by Dr. Elias and his team. The Ministry of Health has sounded the alarm in the face of these illegal practices of circumcision in the home that are made in an adequate way by non-professionals and who have become a genuine public health problem in Djibouti, with several cases of children who are found to emergency for bleeding or infections after ablation of the forsaken. The Department of Health therefore calls for the population in general and especially the parents not to put the lives of their children in danger with these kinds of practices whose consequences are harmful for the child. Well, that's it for this news. Thank you for joining us on RTD. Have a great afternoon.